What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's starting 11 prediction time ahead of tomorrow's trip to Rome to face Lazio on match day 5 of the Champions League. We obviously come into the game off the back of that 1-1 draw against Motherwell, and there's no doubt that we have to start performing better across the board. I think obviously the troubles in Europe have been well known over the course of the campaign. We've picked up 1 point. I think there's been some promising spells in some of the games, but last time out in Madrid it was a really, really heavy defeat, a hard one to take, and it compounded the away record in this competition. So we've got to improve, and we've got to go and do what we can to pick up some sort of positive result and some sort of points tomorrow. Before we get into looking at the game and building up to looking at the team, it's another plea for the winners from the signed shirt competition. So Kenny P9616, I reply to your comments again on Saturday's post-match pint. So please reach out to us, send us your details, and we'll get the signed shirt out to you. And we're still looking for Toasted Toast as well. If we don't get some details and some contact from you in the next week, we're going to have to do a redraw for the competition. So please get in touch, send your details, and we'll get the signed shirt out to you. This video is sponsored by William Hill, of course, Celtic's official betting partner. You can check out all the match odds for tomorrow's game by clicking the link in the description. As always, 18 plus, and please visit begambleaware.org. So, off the back of Saturday, if you missed our reaction to it, you can catch both the post-match pint and the full-time reaction on the channel. I'll link them up here as well. Disappointing, really disappointed with the performance on Saturday. I feel like for me, it was a bit of a moment where, all right, you can take St Johnstone early in the season. The Kilmarnock game going out in the cup was really disappointing. The Easter Road game was a poor performance as well, but off the back of a Champions League game, you make allowances and you make excuses. I think Saturday, there's no real excuse for a performance like that. I think we have to start performing better. There's no getting away from it. There's no dressing it up. Yes, we're top of the league, but look at the performances week in and week out through the course of this season so far. We haven't hit the heights at all, and we have to start performing better. We got off the hook, I suppose, on Sunday because Rangers couldn't muster anything more than a late point at Aberdeen. That doesn't change anything for us. That doesn't change the fact that we're not really playing very well at all. And we have to start improving. I think the squad, we've talked about it at length, we do after every transfer window, and we have done after most of the games so far this season, particularly the games in Europe like tomorrow night, about how the squad lacks depth and it lacks quality. I don't think, again, there's much arguing with that. We can all see it. I don't think enough of the summer signings have made their mark, have been at the level required, have been ready to come in and make a contribution. We've got big work to do in January. The recruitment has to get better. I've got real concerns about the strategy and whether it will actually get better. I think we need a better quality of player. We need to get rid of the deadwood because of the strategy and the volume of players we've signed who aren't good enough. We've got far too many players in a bloated squad. We've got to get rid of the deadwood, and we've got to bring in 2 or 3 players of real quality in key positions. It's like a broken record, really, saying it week after week, but we go to this game tomorrow, away for home. The Champions League away record is running along the bottom of your screen. It doesn't make for good reading. As you all know, watching Celtic season in and season out away in this competition. Lazio did lose to Salernitana 2-1 away from home in Serie A at the weekend. And I think from that first performance against them, it wouldn't surprise you if we can go and impose our style in the game. Hopefully put in a good performance, but again, what we need to get away from is putting in half-decent performances in this competition and coming away with 0 points. We've got to try and get something from the game tomorrow. It feels like a forlorn hope because of how the campaign's unfolded, how the games have went, particularly that home game against Lazio where they stole it right at the last minute. It left us in a dreadful position, really, and I think we're clinging on to any hope of even finishing third, despite the fact that there's still a scenario where we can finish second going into these last 2 match days. But I think tomorrow is all about trying to get something on the board. You'd expect it might be an intense atmosphere over there. We did win the last time we went, of course. How dare I not mention that already? Brilliant, memorable away European win in the Europa League. I'd bite your hand off for that tomorrow. We're travelling out early for the day trip. Hopefully we can get something. We've got to try and, again, I keep saying it, build some sort of credibility back in this competition. But we'll get to the team for tomorrow. In goals, I obviously expect it to be Joe Hart. I think he could have done a lot better at Motherwell's equaliser at the weekend, and he obviously had that moment in the first half where he comes off his line and he looks a wee bit lost. I think that's a key position for us to develop and improve on. In January, it was so in the summer. Joe Hart's contract coming to an end at the end of this season. That's something the club need to look at, and we really need to strengthen in that area. I did get right back correct on Saturday. Ralston did come in. Johnson was rested after his international travels. I expect Johnson to come back in, and I hope he can put in a better performance than he did in Madrid. I think obviously the game got away from us with 10 men and it ended up a really heavy defeat, but I don't think Alistair Johnson covered himself in glory. I don't think he's played particularly well in recent weeks when he has been in the team. We know he's a good player. He was brilliant when he arrived at the club. Maybe just going through a wee sticky patch. The quicker he can get his form back, the better. I don't think there'll be any changes at centre-half with Carter Vickers and Scales. Taylor will play at left-back. Again, Taylor involved at the goal. I don't know why he's marking Obika. He's sort of sandwiched between Joe Hart and Obika. A mismatch in terms of height, in terms of physicality. Seems a wee bit disorganised for a defensive set piece late in the game when you need to see it out, you need to do your job and not concede. But the corners are another thing to add to the list. Things we're not doing well enough. That's offensively and defensively. In midfield, Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly, and I'm going with Paulo Bernardo. I think Brendan Rodgers will go with Bernardo just to get some legs and energy in midfield. I think his work off the ball is probably better than David Turnbull's. Despite Turnbull being in good goal scoring form, gets another goal at the weekend for the penalty spot. But I think Brendan Rodgers will go with Bernardo just for that running ability in midfield to press. When we're without the ball away from home in Europe, you need to cover ground. You need to do your defensive work. And I think Bernardo gives a better opportunity for protection and in terms of the defensive work we need to put in midfield. He's a better option than David Turnbull. Maybe Turnbull off the bench as an option at some point in the game. I believe we're short out wide because Palma's suspended, Maeda's injured, Abada's injured. We're left with the option of Yang. I think James Forrest might play on the right hand side, and Kyogo I expect to keep his place through the middle, but I can already see the comments about James Forrest starting this game. I did put him in on Saturday, by the way, and I was wrong. Palma did start, looked bright early in the game, but petered out, perhaps given his international exploits and travels as well. But James Forrest, I see, is the only winger that we've got fit and available. Could Mikey Johnson start? Yang on the right-hand side, Mikey Johnson on the left. I think it's a Hail Mary to turn to Mikey Johnson at this stage. I think the two games where we've seen him for any length of time have been Hibs, where we were desperate for a goal, and then Motherwell, where we were desperate for a goal at the weekend. That tells you where the squad is at, that when we're come to these moments of urgency and desperation, we're having to turn to Mikey Johnson, who has been a bit part player for a long time now. There you go. That's the team I think Brendan Rodgers will go with tomorrow. We've got to hope for all hope that we can get something from the game. It's a tough ask. It's a tough situation that we find ourselves in the group, but it's another Champions League away trip to look forward to, another brilliant city to visit. But as I say, aside from all that, we really want Celtic to put points on the board. And I, for one, I'm not happy to just turn up and take part and see Celtic finish rock bottom of the group season in and season out. Hopefully tomorrow we can salvage something from that game in the Olympico. Like this video, comment with your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you tomorrow after the game with full-time reaction. Thank you.